Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Culture and People Cast. Today we have Greg Nickerson. Greg, in a few sentences, would you tell us who you are and what you do?
Certainly glad to be with you, Anna. I'm chairman of Bader Rutter. We're a marketing advertising services agency. We're the largest in Wisconsin, approaching 275 people in size. And I've been here quite a long time, over 3 decades, as a matter of fact. So I have the distinct honor of being the longest tenured employee out of 275 at the moment, which means either I have a lot of wisdom or I need to retire, one or the other. So, but I'm not ready to retire yet. Anyway, what I do here is I have a fiduciary role. I work on new business, and I play an ambassador role with a number of nonprofits representing Bader Rutter.
That's great. Yeah, and I firmly believe you still have work to do there. That's my 2 cents. And you and I got to spend a little bit of time together just talking about the overall longevity of some of the leadership in your organization, and just proves that fact that we don't always have to go someplace else to move up or over. We can do that and grow within an organization. You guys are a great example of that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So with this people and culture space, obviously you've been a people leader and influencing this work for a long time. What's your favorite thing about this work?
Well, I suppose the quantitative results that we've been able to achieve over my tenure here is, it's easy to point to that when I started, we had about 100 people. So we've almost tripled in size. When I started running the day-to-day show was 20 years ago. So what I would particularly, enjoy is a chance to start something and show that I finish things. I think many times, if there's a lot of people who start things and they never stick around long enough to see if it works, or if you actually cross the finish line, where in my tenure here, we can point to a lot of things in that regard. Growth being one, but moving a business from the suburbs to downtown is a 5-year process, and it's been a huge success story for us. But on the softer side of things, probably the best thing for me has been to see people grow, to see people I've worked with, including, my leadership team, that see them grow over years and years and years. That's the most satisfying thing.
Yeah. And we do evolve and change over the years. So the fact of 3 decades, a lot of exposure there. So overall, this is post-COVID, but, also it's all the time. Engaging talent can be a challenge. Curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, and as you and I were talking a minute ago, it's COVID remains a challenge, and frankly, probably even a bigger challenge as we look at the next 6 months or so, because I don't believe we're going to be able to start getting people back together in person for a while, until next spring or summer. But when it comes to engaging employees, I've always looked at it as an opportunity. I'm a extrovert by nature. I manage by walking the halls, which you could say right now is difficult to do because there's nobody in our halls other than a few of us that show up, throughout the week. But there are ways to cyber walk halls, I like to say. I mean, don't use it as an excuse not to do it. I use any opportunity. If I see a promotion, I ping them. And if I see they did, a good deed, I'll reach out to them. And many times, and I'll say, hey, I wouldn't mind having a half hour just to catch up and see how you're doing. And that really resonates. So those are, some of the things that I really believe in. And we work hard at it here. And I think the results in tenure and growth speak to that.
Yeah. And it does speak to that. And the intentionality of connecting. I use the analogy of a hot air balloon, right? That the employee is the balloon and the organization is the basket. We have to have as many tethers as we can. And that's not to tie them down. That's to make sure they're engaged and performing and feeling fulfilled, which isn't always easy. So let's get really tactical for the listeners, Greg. What are some examples or tools that a leader or even an individual contributor could use to evolve their culture or their people strategy at work?
Yeah, I'm often surprised by when we bring a new employee on board, how when I meet with them, they'll say that never happened at my prior company. And to me, that's shame on a leader who doesn't make the time to meet every new employee that comes in, one way or the other. And we work hard at this. For example, Jeff Young, our CEO, myself, and Linda Hogan, our COO, every quarter we host we used to do a lunch or a breakfast with all the new employees who joined us in that quarter. We give them a little history on the agency, and but focusing not on history for history's sake, but things that happen and why they're still having an impact on the agency today, like the fact that we bought the business from our founder in 2008 in the midst of the Great Recession too. And it's important for people to know that, our new employees, that we're entrepreneurs at heart and that we're risk takers, smart risk takers. But that was a huge risk to do that back in 2008. So, meet with your new employees. And then we have one-on-ones, every single new employee, and we have 275 people. So it's not a small company. Jeff and I take the time to have a one-on-one, and we Zoom now rather than in person in our cafe. So you can make it work. You just got to work at it. And just never forget that small things matter. And I still write handwritten notes to people when I see a good deed or a promotion. And it's amazing what a handwritten note, the impact it'll have. Not everything has to be done by cyber means, even though it's more convenient. And today, I can't walk that note over and drop it on a desk, but I drop it in the mail. I mean, it's can be very, very powerful. So I guess, one thing, and particularly this year with everything that's been going on, I've always been a believer that the means matter as you go towards the end. And, just running over people to get to an end result, I just don't believe that's leadership. And so we spend a lot of time making sure that we focus on the means to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the micro connections, right? I always tell people, if you have a dollar's worth of energy in a day, you don't hand that dollar to one person. You use the pennies and the nickels and the dimes to, spread the love out to your employees, and that will return. There's a return on that investment. And I think you can see it. You can see it when you're building those connections.
Absolutely. And it's got to be real. It can't be faked. And, we had a leader once that I said, you just aren't visible enough, and visibility is so important. So their answer to that was take their laptop and rather sit in their workstation and go out in our cafe and sit in there and stare at the laptop. I said, you're not accomplishing anything. You need to, look for those interception opportunities that aren't, getting in the way of our folks. But man, there's ways to do it without being interruptive or being a pain in the butt to an employee too. So
yeah, because
got to be real.
Sitting in the cafe might make you visible, but it doesn't make you approachable, right?
Yes.
That's the difference.
There's a big difference between the two. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great tactical tip. So obviously connecting, I heard one-on-ones. I also heard that quarterly meeting with the history of the agency, that storytelling, so powerful, obviously in what you do for your clients, but also for employees too. So great tip, Greg. What other leaders might you want to acknowledge as doing great work, in their organization around culture and people?
Well, I probably was thinking more local right now, and maybe this is not as much people and culture, but this being such a unique year, I'm not sure. I hope we never see another year like this. There's two people locally that I'd like to give a shout out to. One is Tim Sheehy, the MMAC head, and then Dr. John Raymond of Medical College, who's kind of our local Fauci, if you will. These two have provided, for a lot of people, not just in the business community, but in the nonprofit world, leadership, and on every week, dialing in to see how we're doing on COVID, what's working, what's not working. And they just did it in a very believable and, compassionate way, which we're missing a lot of in our world today. So they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. I look at, I'm president of the Betty Byrne Children's Museum Board right now, and our new executive director joined us a year ago, and he's a change agent. Change agent. I said, well, did you expect 6 months into your tenure that you'd have to deal with COVID? And and the Children's Museum, believe me, is a very difficult thing to think about reopening, because, as he says, not only the kids walk around and touch everything, they lick stuff. So, but the way he's managing through this, and it's just very impressive as we move towards reopening, hopefully this spring. So
we don't want to lose those. want to lose those gems, right? And as much as we like to think about these big leaders evoking, national or global change, just like politics, local is important, so to acknowledge those local leaders, I think it's great. And I like that you called them our local Fauci.
Yep, yep, for sure.
So how about favorite resources, Greg, of somebody out there who's saying like, all right, I'm ready to put in more work in evolving our culture, our people. What's a favorite resource of yours?
Well, I tend to, probably gravitate more towards the news vehicles, Barron's, Wall Street Journal. I think you have to look for it, but they often have very, very good commentary related to the business world in terms of people and culture. As I was looking at that question, I have to say one of my resources are my children, and both of them are, one works for Facebook in San Francisco, and the other one works for an architecture firm in New York. And I often pressure test my ideas for that generation and say, am I on target, off target? My son at Facebook sent me a book called The Inevitable by Kevin Kelly. And it's the 12 technological forces that will shape our future. And so I'm a sponge for anything that is talking about digital and technology, because it's very easy at my age, and I'm probably in the fourth quarter of my career. It's so dynamic. And if you're a leader and you're not staying on top of what technology can and can't do for you in terms of your people and your culture, you're making a big mistake, because it can be overused, but it can be underused. And so I spent a lot of time on all things digital to try and stay contemporary in my thinking. It's very easy to lose ground as fast as this is moving.
Agreed. Now more important than ever. And that technology, right? That I think often leaders will look to tools as the answer, but really what we're looking at is systems, processes, people, and how those tools support it. And so staying up on top of that to align to the organization, truly important. So
Yeah,
I hadn't heard of that book, so we'll add that to the list.
Yeah, technology is a tactic. People need to remember that. It's just a tactic. It's a means to the end. It doesn't change what your goal is, but it might make it easier to reach it.
Agreed. Well, Greg, thank you for all you're doing for people and culture at Bader Rutter and in the world of work. And I just appreciate you being a guest today.
I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Take care.